Oh man. Let's see if I can do this. Hey, a live podcast. Wow. We've made it. We're here. I hope this is working. What's up, everybody? Enat Man, the Serial Connection, Francisco Garcia, Sack Accountant, TJ, Urban Astronaut, Clay Ruddy, Locked on Pacers. Get the hell out. Get out of here. Leave. You can't be here. What's up, my man? Wow, this is fun. I don't know how to do this. I usually just talk to myself. Yes, my hair is manageable today, Serial Connection. I'm feeling a little bit better than I did on D-Lo and KC. Skip and Tosh is here. Wow. How did I get so lucky? Best community in podcasting. West Sac Kings fan is here. Yeah, you heard me, Evan. You take your Tyrese Halliburton and you leave. Although you have to let me know if the rumors about the Pacers trying to trade Buddy Hield are true, because that makes me laugh. 6-1 or 7-0 this upcoming road trip, Sack Accountant. I hope you are right. We're going to talk about this upcoming road trip. We're going to talk mainly NBA All-Star stuff and the stupid voting, the ridiculous stuff. And then I thought we'd also a little chit chat about the trade deadline too. But watching from Leeds in the UK, are you a Leeds United fan, Echo 2K? You got to be a Leeds United fan if you're watching from Leeds. Funny People 5, how are you? So it is true, Evan, that the Pacers are trying to trade Buddy Hield, huh? Love that. Love that. Serial Connection, we will get into that. We will definitely get into blaming the fans and the fan vote for the Domantas Sabonis not being a Western starter. Trust me, we will get into all of that. You're from Lithuania, with Lithuania originally, Echo, so you're not interested in football. You're all basketball. Well, I can respect that. What's with the Maury post? I didn't see this, Francisco Garcia. I'm going to look this up. Maury, what did he post? What did he do? I didn't see this. I missed it. I'm not seeing it. What did he do? Is it on Twitter? Because I'm on Twitter and I don't see anything. You'll have to fill me in on what you're talking about. Nate Gwynn, what's up? I'm here to keep you company before D-Lo and KC starts at noon. Well, I won't go a full 2 hours, but I thought I'd give it a try. They've inspired me with their incredible ability to go live. Leland Thompson, what's up? I'm good, funny people. Thanks so much. Oh, Jonah, yeah. So, I mean, Monty started his career, or I don't know if he started his career, but he spent a lot of time as Daryl Morey's assistant GM. So they're very, very close. I'm sure it's like a mentorship type relationship that the two of them had. So, yeah, I'm not surprised or reading too much into he and Morey meeting and hanging out with Morey coming to Sacramento with when Philly came to Sac. I don't think that's anything to really be concerned about. A Dog, what's up? Be Simulated, what's up? Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Your Mike Brown profile picture is amazing. Swish Life, man, I'm getting spoiled with the amount of you that have come and said hi. This is great. I didn't know how going live would go, honestly. And while we're discussing it too, I had an idea a long time ago. It's a little more difficult now because of my duties at ABC 10, but I think there could be a situation where I would love to take a night off of work on a Kings road game and then do like a meetup to watch a road game somewhere in Sacramento. I would love to do something like that. I've always wanted to do something like that, and I think I could get some friends in the media scene to come as well. Maybe like Frankie and Brendan or D'Lo and KC or something. I would love to do that. That would be a lot of fun. Appreciate you, Paul. Thank you so much. You're right, Leland. Keon Ellis was killing it last night. Man, the Stockton Kings are legit, man. Head coach Bobby Jackson knows what he's doing. Baba Lee, he's incredible. All right, I'll stall for a couple more minutes, that we'll actually dive into the episode. And basically, what I guess I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a podcast as normal, but it'll be live, and I would love your interaction. So any questions you guys have, comments you have, I'll try and involve you as much as possible. I don't have a plan. I mean, other than what I want to talk about. So we'll kind of figure this out together and go together and see what happens, because I don't know what's gonna happen. Thank you, Tyson. I have fun on it. 1320. I mean, like D'Lo and KC, it's such a if you're not following the D'Lo and KC show, or if you don't listen to D'Lo and KC, you absolutely should, because they're a very unique show in the sense that, I mean, it's D'Lo and KC allows me to have fun in a different way from what I have on Locked On or what I have on ABC 10. So I mean, I'm very thankful for those guys and the platform that they invite me on, where we can just kind of let loose a little bit. And because I've always wanted to do a podcast, and I'm going to do an episode soon. Myself, Frankie Cardicelli, Brendan Nunez, and Chris Watkins. Eventually, we're going to do a podcast where the four of us just sit down and discuss what it's like to work in Kings media and what it's like to cover an NBA team professionally. Because there's such a balance of, you have to be professional, and of course the access that we get, we can't stand in front of Mike Brown or stand in front of De'Aaron Fox, go, oh, I'm your biggest fan, or anything like that. So you have to make sure you kind of keep that side of yourself separate. But like, all four of us, or at least three out of the four of us, have been diehard Kings fans for a very, very long time. I grew up a fan of the Sacramento Kings. Now I work professionally, and there's a separation between my professional career and my personal enjoyment of the team. But I can't put the love that I have for the organization, the love that I have for the team, the love that I have for the fans as a fan. I can't put that aside. I just can't. It's who I am. So the four of us are going to sit down and discuss what it's like to work as a media member in the modern day, where I think it's finally coming a little more acceptable to be a fan and to root for and to support the team that you're covering. There's a place and time to do it. We're not allowed to cheer in the media area or anything like that. We're not allowed to, obviously, act like fans in front of the players and in front of the coaches, and that's fine. Like, that's not hard to do. It's not hard to not be a fan and to be professional in front of them. But at the same time, like, I think it's more than okay for those of us who cover the team to have a rooting interest in the team. Of course, if the Kings are good, we do better. The Sacramento Kings, if the Kings are a good team, Locked On Kings does a lot better, clearly. So, and plus, like, I hope that for all of you, it's more relatable for you, or it's easier for you, or more enjoyable for you to listen to Locked On Kings when you know that you're listening to someone who's been through hell with you for the last 16 years, who's been a fan, who understands what it's like, versus someone who just is a robot who talks about the team that they have to or happen to cover for money. So I hope you guys appreciate that, and I'm very thankful for all of you. Now that I'm getting off my soapbox. All right, why don't we do a podcast, huh? Should we do a show? Let's do a show. Joseph, we will address something like that in today's show. L, the last time I went to the Kings game as a fan, it's been a long time. I have not been to a Kings game as a fan inside the Golden One Center. Let's put it that way. The last time I went to a Kings game as a fan, actually, I do know the answer to this question. The last time I went to a Kings game as a fan, I'd gotten a pair of tickets when I was working at Sports 1140 KHTK, now Sacktown Sports 1140. I got a pair of tickets and I took my mom, and it was like the last year of Arco, or Sleep Train, or whatever the hell it was called. That was the last time I went to a game as a fan. And there's actually, I have to find it. There's a picture, and I'll share it one day. Like, when I was in college, that was right during the relocation era when the Kings announced that they were staying. So I bought tickets and went to games all the time. This was before I was working covering the team. So I went to games all the time, and I would dress up like an absolute idiot. Like, I wouldn't go crazy, but like, I'd wear a purple bandana and have fun. And there's at one point, the Kings broadcast caught me in the crowd just completely flexing after I think it was a DeMarcus Cousins dunk. And I'm just standing up, like mean mugging and flexing as they went to commercial break and the camera caught me. And I have a picture of it because someone sent it to me. I got to find that picture. But yeah, I was there for like Here We Stay night. I was there as a fan. I remember the blackout game when the Kings took on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that was when it was like the Thunder at the time. It was Harden, Westbrook, Durant, Ibaka. I was at that game as a fan. I was spoiled as a kid and as a teenager growing up. I went to so many games just as a fan, and then to be able to do this professionally is pretty crazy. It's pretty awesome. All right. Let's do a podcast. Let's figure this out. Okay, here we go. And again, I want you guys to be as much of a part of the show as possible. So keep active in the chat, ask questions. What's up, Kelly? Before I start, I can show. Oh, this is amazing. Look at this. See, I didn't even know I could do this. Kelly, Kelly is amazing. Kelly is a NBA podcaster, an NBA media member from Japan, and he's a huge Matthew Dellavedova guy, and he covers Australian basketball players. And I actually appeared on his podcast, and Kelly was incredible. Kelly, so good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. Jim, what's up? What's this question? Jack, as a media member, do you guys have to remain professional while in the media booth, or is it a big show? Yes. So we are not allowed to cheer. So if, like, a great example is like the Bogdanovich game winner, right? When he hit that game winner in Los Angeles, or against Los Angeles, rather, I, like, my hands were clenched like this under the table and doing like not like tiny little fist bumps, right? But deadpan face. And it's actually gotten easier for me now because my duties that I do for ABC 10, I record. I have a handheld recorder. So, or recorder, Jesus, a camera. What am I, like 90? So I have a handheld camera. So I watch the game through the lens of a camera a lot of the times when I'm recording everything. So it's given me something to do. So that helps. But like, I've almost cracked a couple of times. Like a perfect example is Marvin Bagley's dunk in the California Classic when the place went nuts when he dunked over Mo Wagner. I stood up and then I realized, oh wait, shit, I can't do this. Like I got to sit down. Like it's hard to separate that fan at times because the Kings, like De'Aaron Fox, will do amazing moments. Sabonis will do crazy things, and media members will turn to each other and go, "Wow, that was nuts," but we can't react. It's pretty crazy. So TJ, I'm a Keegan Murray fan watching from Des Moines, Iowa. I assume that's Iowa. Go Kings! Really appreciate the Keegan love. Oh, dude. Keegan Love is easy for me, man. I'm such a big fan of that man. I love Keegan Murray. Hello from Estonia, Domantas Sabonis fan here. Rain, you're amazing. God, I'm so spoiled with the amount of not just local but international fans that listen to Locked On Kings. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's do a podcast here. I'll talk all day if I don't have a podcast to do. So let's do it. I'm gonna hit record over here, and we will dive in. Here we go. Somehow, Domantas Sabonis is in the top 10 of MVP ladders, but yet he's not a starter in the Western Conference All-Star race. Doesn't make sense to me, and it's the fan vote, unfortunately, that killed his chances of being a starter. We'll discuss that, plus this upcoming road trip for the Sacramento Kings. There's a lot on the line, really, on this road trip, and if Sacramento can survive this road trip or even come out on top through this road trip, that might set them up to actually secure a third or fourth seed in the playoffs. We'll discuss it all on the first ever live episode of the Locked On Kings podcast.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all regular season long. Today, presented by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm the Sacramento sports reporter and producer for ABC 10, and this is crazy. A live episode of the Locked On Kings podcast. Now, some of you listening and watching right now are watching afterwards, so I appreciate you so much for tuning in whenever you're able to watch. But for the amazing support that I'm receiving right now, first ever live episode to have this support from local Kings fans all over the United States, Kings fans around the world, so many international fans that are part of this live show. I'm humbled, but I'm also nervous as hell. Why? Because when I pre-record an episode, when I do it by myself, where I'm just a loser talking to a camera by myself in a room for 30 minutes, I can screw up and edit that out. The power of editing, I always look perfect. Right now, I don't have that luxury. So I have to make sure that I'm not doing anything stupid or saying anything stupid. And hopefully I can make it through this podcast. But the amount of you that are coming and supporting this live show is incredible. Thank you so much to everybody. I would spend the whole podcast naming you all individually. So I hope you have a good time. And I hope I'm able to do live podcasts more often. It would be incredible to be able to do this every once in a while. I wish I could do this after Kings games, but I'm at the Golden One Center. So this is true. I have never seen the Beam in person. Actually, that's kind of not true. I've seen the Beam from afar. Like after a road game, I can see it from the parking lot of our ABC 10 studios. But I've never seen the Beam from the Golden One Center. I've never seen it because I'm in the Golden One Center doing the post-game duties for ABC 10 and then doing the Locked On Kings podcast. And they turn the Beam off at like either 11:45 p.m. or midnight. And I'm always leaving at like 12:31 a.m. So one of these days, damn it, I will see the Beam. I will go outside and see the Beam in person. And I'm committing to that. I got to see it in person because, of course, it's been such a beacon in so many ways of Kings fandom enjoyment. But unfortunately, as popular as the Beam is, unfortunately, the Beam doesn't get you extra all-star votes. Domantas Sabonis has not been named an all-star starter, which I'm not surprised by. And I think this is more just my jaded feelings towards like all-star voting, period. Like I'm not surprised Domantas Sabonis isn't an all-star starter. I am bothered by it because people clearly don't understand what Domas is doing here in Sacramento. And for God's sakes, the Kings are, if not the best story in the NBA. They are absolutely top 2, top 3 best stories in the NBA this season. To go from a team that has been on a 16-year playoff drought that couldn't even sneak into the play-in and lose to a team that is sitting in 3rd in the Western Conference now over the halfway point of the season, a team that has a very good chance of skipping the play-in altogether and just going right into the playoffs, a team that actually now has a legitimate chance to host a playoff series. You know how crazy that is to go from a 16-year playoff drought to immediately hosting a playoff series? That does not happen. And the fact that the Kings, hopefully, I mean, they will get at least one player representing them on the All-Star team. Like, Domantas Sabonis is a lock to be a reserve. I think De'Aaron Fox should be too, but who knows if that justice is going to be done. But for the Kings to be one of the best stories, if not the best story in the NBA, for them to have a player in Domantas Sabonis that if you look at MVP ladders, Domantas Sabonis is on MVP ladders. The NBA.com MVP ladder came out today. Domantas Sabonis is on that MVP ladder. He's number 9. In that top 10 MVP ladder. Ahead of him are just 3 players in the Western Conference: Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, and Ja Morant. So somehow, in this MVP ladder, Domantas Sabonis can be considered a top 10 player in the league, MVP, and only have 3 players from the West in front of him. There are 5 Western Conference starter spots. And yet Domantas Sabonis is not a starter. What in the world? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I understand that Zion is incredible, extremely athletic, very entertaining and fun to watch. Zion has barely played compared to Domantas Sabonis. And oh yeah, the Sacramento Kings are a better team as of right now than the New Orleans Pelicans are. All-Stars are a context of regular season award. You are an all-star for the 2023 or 2022-2023 season based off of what you are doing in 2022-2023. Domantas Sabonis has had a significantly better 2022-2023 season than Zion has. And if Zion had the full context of playing the majority of the season and not getting hurt, maybe he would be better than Domantas Sabonis. But he hasn't, and he's not. We can't make a what-if argument. What if Zion played? Would the Pelicans be better than the Kings at this point in time? It doesn't matter because it didn't happen. Sabonis is doing it. He's playing through a broken thumb. He's third in the league in triple-doubles. He's leading the league. He's the league-leading rebounder. I think he's leading the league in double-doubles. And yet he's not a starter in the Western Conference. And it's because of fan voting. And I'm going to make this very clear. I'm not blaming Kings fans. It's not your fault. It's not. Could you have voted more? Sure. But this is Sacramento. There's no chance Sacramento can compete with LA. There's no chance Sacramento can compete with Golden State. They can't. Plus, the Kings get so little national game love. They've gotten one national game, which, by the way, they destroyed the Brooklyn Nets in that national game. We're supposed to have another one that was taken away. They've had some games on NBA TV, but that doesn't count. TNT, ESPN, the team that is third in the Western freaking Conference and that is leading the Pacific Division has far fewer national TV games than the rest of the division and the rest of the conference. And on top of that, they don't have a national TV game for the remainder of this season when all of those other Western Conference, or rather Pacific Division teams do. That has an effect. So I'm not blaming Kings fans. I'm not. You could have voted more. I could have voted. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's a popularity contest and it's stupid. Looking at this, Domantas Sabonis finished in 6th in front court voting results in the Western Conference. LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Zion Williamson won. Domantas Sabonis was 5th in player rank. Zion was 3rd. Sabonis was 9th in fan voting rank. Zion was 4th. And Domantas Sabonis was 3rd in media rank. Zion was 4th. So at least the media got it right. And thank God some media members, not Nate Duncan, but some media members are paying attention. But if Domantas Sabonis has a little bit better fan rating, which remember, the fan vote costs or accounts for 50% of whether or not you make it into the play or as a all-star starter or not. It's because of the fan vote that Sabonis isn't in. If he had a little bit better of a fan vote, he would have been a starter. The fan voting system is stupid. I'm sorry. I understand fans want to feel like they're a part of this decision. And I understand, like, the NBA fans are incredible. The NBA owns so much to their fans. But fan voting is dumb because every single year there's a minimum one player that gets screwed over. And unfortunately this year, maybe screwed over is too aggressive because being a starter, I mean, it's cool, but it's not the end of the world. Like, Sabonis is still going to be an all-star. Like, he's still going to be an all-star. But still, it's stupid to me that Sabonis does not get in not because of anything that he's doing wrong. He doesn't get in because he happens to play in a smaller market in the NBA. Like, that's just not, I think that's ridiculous. Now, I see some people, Francisco Garcia, mentioning in the comments, oops, I clicked on the wrong one. Sabonis will be a starter because Zion is hurt. I think you're right. And I think this Zion selection is ceremonial. But at the same time, what's the point? If you know Zion's probably not going to play, plus, even if Zion were playing, he does not deserve to be there over Domantas Sabonis. That's my point. It's not so much Sabonis being a starter. If he ends up being a starter, great. He's going to be an all-star, in my opinion, like I said. But it's about him not getting the recognition that he deserves, and that's mainly the theme. It's Sacramento Kings players and the team and how they're performing not getting the recognition they deserve. This is the blessing and the curse of the Beam, because the Beam has been amazing for all of us to celebrate. It's been fun for us to rally around, and it's become a national story. People are talking about the Beam around the NBA world. It's cool, right? But they should not be talking just about the Beam and how fun and quirky it is. They should be talking about the reason why the Beam is getting lit the majority of nights. It's because of what the Sacramento Kings are doing. It's because of what Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, and this Kings team are doing. Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray in the month of January. That's what people should be talking about. This is a perfect example to me of Sabonis, a Sacramento King, not getting the recognition that they deserve because of a ceremonial, more recognition for a better player, or excuse me, for a bigger name player, definitely not better, bigger name player in a different market. That's what this is about. And even the New Orleans market is not crazy better or bigger than the Sacramento market. In fact, Sacramento Kings fans support their team way better than New Orleans Pelicans fans do, and that's just a fact. But it's kind of a get off my yard or get off my lawn kind of old man take, but it's frustrating to me as someone who thinks that Sabonis deserves all the recognition in the world for what he's doing, and De'Aaron Fox too. Like De'Aaron, I think is going to end up being a player that maybe gets in as a reserve, which I understand being a guard in the Western Conference, and I understand like Damian Lillard getting more votes than De'Aaron Fox does, and whatever. I know Dame just put up like 60 points. Dame has better numbers than De'Aaron Fox does. De'Aaron Fox is on a significantly better team. Last I checked, the Portland Trailblazers aren't even in the play-in picture. They're not. Maybe they moved in. Honestly, I haven't even looked at the NBA standings, how it's changed since the last time I looked, which was a couple days ago. But last I checked, yep, the Blazers are in 12th in the West. They're 23 and 25. The Sacramento Kings are 27 and 20 in third in the West. So I get Dame is Dame. But Sacramento is way better, and De'Aaron Fox is the leader of that. The league leader in clutch scoring, not necessarily points in the clutch, but clutch shooting percentage. Like, De'Aaron deserves to be there absolutely too. And every single time in the past, we've had a conversation about De'Aaron being an all-star. Everything holding De'Aaron back was, Fox is, he has the numbers. He's playing like an all-star statistically, but his team is not that good. He doesn't have the wins. Well, now his team has the wins, but are we holding it against De'Aaron Fox that Domantas Sabonis is his teammate now? Are we saying, it's still the Kings, so we only have room for one representative, so Domantas Sabonis is going to be that representative? That's ridiculous. Sabonis and Fox are equally as important to this Kings team. De'Aaron Fox is the better player on the Kings. Sabonis is the most important player, and I've talked about the difference between the two of them a lot here on Locked On Kings in the past, but De'Aaron Fox absolutely deserves to be there too. If the Kings were 6th or 7th in the West, I'm like, okay, I get it. 3rd in the Western Conference, and I know the gap between 3rd and 7th or 3rd and 8th is not that big. I get it, but they're still there. And you have to take into the context of where they were last year to where they are now. So I'm very disappointed I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed so far by what I've seen out of the NBA All-Star starters list. And I know like there's some questionable things in the East too, like Kyrie Irving getting in over Jaylen Brown, I think is ridiculous too. So, but this happens every year. And unfortunately this year it's affecting the Kings. Again, I expect Domantas Sabonis to be an all-star and everything be fine there. But he should be a starter. And he might end up being a starter with Zion not playing, but it's just dumb. Just dumb. Thank you, everybody, for watching again this live episode of the Locked On Kings podcast. Oh, great. King's Pulse is here. Get out of here, Brendan. Leave. You're really a dad now. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Yes, that is a very dad thing to say. But get out of here, Brendan. This is my place. This is my happy, safe place. You're not a part of this. I see a lot of people commenting, diving into this conversation about Domantas Sabonis and believing that he will be he will be a starter. I see a lot of people talking about Fox more than likely being an injury reserve player. I think you're 100% right. Johnny Dewitt saying Fox will be one of the wild card players that makes it in. I hear you. I feel that. I understand that. I think you're right. I just don't think it should take injury reserve. I mean, I guess if he gets there, it doesn't matter how he gets there. But if I were De'Aaron Fox, I would feel slighted or frustrated by being considered an injury reserve player when he's outperforming and his team is outperforming the teams of some of the bigger names who are getting in off of their name and their numbers on a bad team versus De'Aaron's success on a good team. Just my feeling on the situation. Cole Cunningham asks, is Fox in his mid-year slump been a trend, but the bright side is he destroys post-All-Star break? Well, one, I'm hoping that you're right, that he will continue to destroy All-Star break. I don't know how much, I don't think De'Aaron Fox is in a slump necessarily. I think De'Aaron's role has been very clearly defined here in Sacramento, which is do your thing for the first 2 to 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, go out and win the game and take over. And by doing your thing, I don't mean just coasting and only scoring 6 points. Like De'Aaron can score 12, 14, 16 points without really trying in the first 3 quarters. And then he explodes in the fourth for another 12 or 16. And that puts him in the high 20s to low 30s. Like that's what De'Aaron's done. De'Aaron has a very clear role and a very clear rotation spot. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a slump. Now, Domantas Sabonis is definitely in a slump right now. And we can discuss that in a little bit. We're also going to talk about the upcoming road trip for the Sacramento Kings, a 7-game road trip, the longest of the season, one of the longest road trips in the NBA period. We're going to get into that here in just a second. Right now, though, I want to let you know that today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members that you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experience to help you achieve your goals. It's like having an NBA scouting department, but for your small business. LinkedIn Jobs help you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post company and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based off your job qualifications all on one platform. That's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's talk about this road trip. For those of you in the chat, what are your expectations for this upcoming road trip? Your expectations. Doesn't have to be what the expectations should be. What are your expectations? Because looking at this road trip, there are a lot of gettable games on this road trip, right? A couple games in Minnesota to start. Now, I think Minnesota could present some matchup problems for the Kings. You've got the Rockets twice at the end of the road trip. You have the Spurs in there, the Pacers in there, the Pelicans in there. I'm seeing a 7-0, of course. I'm seeing 4-3, 5-2. So 4-3 is essentially 500. And the goal for road trips is always to go 500 or better. Of course, it's an odd number, so you can't go 500. 3-4 would not be a disaster, but I would be very disappointed. To me, 4-3 is the bare minimum. Like 4-3 should be, the Kings get that comfortably. To get to the next step, though, 5-2 is the goal to me. If you get 6-1 or you get 7-0, great. Like, that's amazing. That's phenomenal if the Kings are able to do that. But 5-2 to me should be the goal. I'm not saying it's the expectation. It should be the goal. But 4-3 to me is the expectation. Nate says, I'm honestly expecting 5-2, but 4-3 at the least. 5-2, 5-2. So it sounds like we're pretty much all on the same page with kind of the 5-2. A really good question here. I'm trying to click on it. The chat's going too fast. You guys are so active. RMOB Nation says, Pacers revenge game or not? I think that's I feel like the most losable game on this trip is actually the Pacers game. Like, I think the Indiana Pacers, the Kings kicked the Pacers' ass here in Sacramento. Now, Tyrese is still out. I think he's targeting an early February return. It would not surprise me at all if he's trying to get back for that game. Would not surprise me at all, knowing and understanding Tyrese and the competitor that he is. I know that he wants to get back and he wants to start playing again. It's Domantas Sabonis' return to Indiana. If anybody is in here from Indiana, like, is this a big deal to y'all? I have not heard anything being discussed or brought up about Domantas Sabonis' return to Indiana. Like, and he's spent a long time with the Pacers. Now, granted, he's playing better for Sacramento than he ever did for the Pacers, and that's because the Kings are using him effectively, and Mike Brown has maximized what he can do. But still, he was a damn good player and a multi-time All-Star for the Indiana Pacers, right? I have not heard anything about the Pacers welcoming him home. But again, that could just be the Sacramento perspective. Is that going to be a big game for Sabonis? Like, is Sabonis going to come in with a chip on his shoulder like, you really traded me away? Watch this. I mean, you've already seen that I'm in the MVP voting, or rather on the MVP ladder, but watch this. Like, that would be pretty cool. I would like to see almost a revenge arc from Domantas Sabonis in that game, but I think a lot of Kings fans should absolutely be wary of that game because of how bad the Pacers were embarrassed in Sacramento. Even if Tyrese doesn't play, the Kings should absolutely win that game. But even if Tyrese doesn't play, the rest of that roster, of course, the video has come out of Buddy Hield saying Sacramento can S my D, if you know what I mean. That video came out. So, I mean, Buddy got booed plenty here in Sacramento. At the time, I was saying, well, I don't think Buddy deserves to be booed every time he touched the ball. Now, after that video came out, you know what? Boo Buddy Hield at any time you see him publicly or privately. Boom. And I know Buddy, who apparently is on the trade block in Indiana, which is fitting for so many different reasons. Apparently Buddy, or I imagine Buddy's going to want to get a little bit of revenge with how that game in Sacramento went too. So that's the game during this road trip that I'm most concerned about, that Indiana Pacers game. Whether Tyrese plays or not, typically when you beat a team that bad, they're a little extra hungry to get that win. I see someone saying a 6-1 road trip. Rob G saying 6-1 and a split with Minnesota. I feel that. Again, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are another team that they should be better than their record. What are they? They're 9th in the West. They're 25-25. So they're a 500 team. That's disappointing. That's disappointing based off of the ridiculous move that they made and the crazy trade they made for Rudy Gobert. But that is a team that I could see giving the Kings some problems. I think the Kings should at least win one of those games, especially if they want to prove that they're third in the West. But the Minnesota Timberwolves could provide some matchup nightmares at times for the Sacramento Kings. I do want to talk about, though, the Kings are going into this road trip third in the West. If they come out of this road trip still third in the West, I touched on this in yesterday's Locked On Kings podcast very briefly, but I want to go into a little more detail on it. To me, if the Kings come out of this road trip third in the Western Conference, Kings fans should be feeling very, very good about this team's ability to actually secure a home court advantage in the opening round of the playoffs. I still think the final month to month and a half after the All-Star break of the season is going to be a experience for the Kings. And what I mean by that is there are teams that are beneath the Kings right now that have experience already, that have been there and done that before, that recognize the importance of seeding, that are going to scratch and claw and try and close gaps. And games are going to get tougher for the Kings at that point in time. But also, I think the Kings are good enough to handle it. And I want the Kings to face some adversity, kind of like what they faced from the Toronto Raptors game the other night. I want them to face that adversity before the playoffs and not get run over by a truck in the playoffs, essentially, when teams really come to play and really step up at that point in time. But getting through this road trip, and especially, I mean, even if you're 4-3, you're still one game better than when you left on the trip. That's major. That is significant for the Sacramento Kings to accomplish. So I think that should be the absolute, not necessarily expectation, but that should be the goal of the Sacramento Kings. And if they are able to come out of this road trip and be in that position in the standings, at that point, it's not just us in Sacramento who have to go, wow, this is really possible. It's everyone else who has to look at the Kings and go, man, I mean, I already think this team is legit. Some people still don't believe this team is legit. The Kings have the third highest win total on the road in the Western Conference. But in terms of winning percentage, they have the best win percentage on the road in the Western Conference. Never expected that. They're 11-9. Next closest is, the Clippers are 13-13, and the Nuggets are 12-11. Like, this team is good. This team can win and whether it's in their own building. And I think they should have a better record at home than what they do, 16-11. They've dropped some very winnable games in their own building. But if the Kings can continue to be an above 500 team on the road, like that makes a tremendous difference towards the standings difference when we're all said and done. Young Orochi, I think that's how you pronounce your name, asks, hey, Matt, which team do you think the Kings can beat in a playoff series without a defensive-minded trade? That's a great question. I think the Kings can beat a decent amount of teams in the playoffs. It also depends on how healthy those teams are. I think the Kings could beat – I really do think the Kings could beat the Warriors in a playoff series. I really do. I don't think the Warriors are as good or nearly as good this year, although the experience does scare me. I think the Kings could beat the Timberwolves in a playoff series. I definitely think the Kings could beat the Jazz in a playoff series. The Phoenix Suns are tough. Like, how healthy are they and how on the same page are they? And the Dallas Mavericks too. We haven't really seen. I think the next home game, which is February 10th, is the Mavericks coming to town. And I'm really interested in that game because I want to see how that team looks, because outside of Luka Doncic, I'm not impressed with that team. I think they absolutely overachieved last year. And some could say the same thing about the Kings this year, right? But I think the Kings could, I won't say sweep Dallas, but I think the Kings would win in 5 or 6 games against Dallas, especially if they had home court advantage. That's just my opinion. But I will say this, and this is maybe the pessimistic way of viewing things. The overall expectation as of right now is if the Kings make the playoffs, they will be a first-round exit because they've never been there before. And I think if others have that expectation, whether you're a Kings fan or just a national NBA fan or whatever, if you have that expectation, that's fine. Now, the Kings are definitely capable at this point in time. I think the Kings are definitely capable of making it to the second round. Making it past that, now we're getting into, holy smokes, this team is way better than we thought territory. But I'm not ready, as good as the Kings are right now and as fun as this season is, I'm not ready to project the Kings as making it to the second round with confidence, even if they're in the 3rd seed in the Western Conference at this point in time. Maybe that's still kind of the pessimistic viewpoint, but I'm just not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think Monte McNair will do at the trade deadline, or what his approach to the trade deadline will be based off of my understanding of McNair. Going to discuss that. Plus, we're going to wrap up this podcast with some Q&As from the chat, from the live listeners. I've owed you guys a Q&A podcast for a long time. Sorry that's fallen through, but I'm going to get to that here in just a second after I tell you about another great sponsor here of Locked On Kings, a new sponsor of Locked On Kings. That's FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are here, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner here on Locked On. It's FanDuel. They're the #1 sportsbook in America. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, if you join today, you can get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed. All you have to do is place your first $5 bet, and you get that free money. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/locked-on. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, the main focus right now is on the NFL and the NFC and AFC Championship and the upcoming Super Bowl, of course. But they have great betting for Sacramento Kings, future bets, player bets, game lines, all throughout the NBA season and more. And you can do it all on their app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's get your questions ready, and I'm sure I've missed some of your questions, so maybe feel free to spam the chat. Well, don't spam the chat, but ask them a couple of times if I don't see them, and I'll get to answering your questions. But before I get to that, I know a lot of questions are going to be about the upcoming trade deadline, which is like a couple weeks away or something like that, which is crazy. Here's how I think Monte McNair is going to approach this draft. I think Monte is going to be very content with sticking with what he has. I think he's going to keep an eye out for either a backup wing or a backup big. And I know the big, like Mason Plumlee, is someone who we've talked a lot about. To me, there is not that acquirable of a backup big that's going to make that big of a difference. Like, if Plumlee comes here, is he an upgrade over what the Kings have? Sure. And is that a win for the Sacramento Kings? Probably. But I don't think it's urgent that Monty do that. Like, this team has gotten this far by themselves, and they do have to make moves, I think, to really secure this position. If they want to, without a doubt, secure a third or fourth seed, then a move is maybe in the cards, but it's not an urgent need. Monty doesn't have to approach this trade deadline as a must buy team. If he stays put, I think the Kings are just fine. Now, I know what I wouldn't do if I was Monty McNair at this trade deadline. I would not trade Harrison Barnes at all. And I've been pretty consistent with that. Do not trade Harrison. I know he's having a red hot month of January, and I don't expect that to continue. But even so, even if he doesn't trade Harrison Barnes, or I mean, even if Harrison doesn't continue on this hot streak, I still don't think trading him is a good idea, both chemistry wise and how significant he is on the floor for the Kings. I would not, of course, trade Keegan Murray. And Keegan Murray is the biggest trade chip that the Sacramento Kings have. If the Kings are going to try and make a big splash move, every single team is going to ask for Keegan first. They're not going to ask for Fox or Sabonis because they know that they're just going to get a laugh and they're going to get hung up on. Keegan Murray is going to be the first thing that every team asks for in any kind of big significant trade. Now, if you get a can't miss offer, I guess you consider it. But to me, a realistic can't miss offer doesn't exist. Monty has already made his big splash. He did it last year with the Domantas Sabonis trade. He doesn't have to make another big splash. The Kings are in a position where they don't need to yet. Maybe if they get through these playoffs and get eliminated from these playoffs and they go into this offseason, or they go into next year at the trade deadline and they're trying to secure themselves as a top competitor and a team to make a deep playoff run, maybe then you try and add another star big name player. At this point in time, the Kings don't have to do this. The Kings don't. They do not have to do that. If Monty stays put at this trade deadline, I think that's absolutely fine. I'm telling you, I think this is going to be a boring and underwhelming trade deadline for a lot of Kings fans, because if the Kings make a move, it's going to be minor and it's going to be to help their second unit for 10 to 15 minutes a night, which could be really important, like especially with how bad the second unit has been playing as of late. But I would not look to this trade deadline as a Kings fan and go, oh man, this is going to be big for the Kings. I would not look at it that way. And I don't think Monty has to. Just my opinion on the situation. If you want to share your thoughts on what you think Monty should do at the trade deadline, absolutely do so. And now let me get to some of these questions here in the chat. They're coming through fast and like crazy. Your guys' support has been incredible. 122 live viewers right now. That's I was hoping for like 20. So you guys are absolutely amazing. I see people bringing up, first off, Jolly Roger, greetings from Serbia. Wow. Thank you so much for your support, Jolly Roger. Also, I'm a huge fan of just Pirates in general. So awesome name. I've seen people bring up all season long DeMarcus Cousins. I get it. From a media standpoint, DeMarcus Cousins would be a blast to have return. From a media standpoint, the storylines, the interviews, the podcasts, it would be a lot of fun. But DeMarcus Cousins coming to Sacramento does not make sense. It really doesn't. Like, is DeMarcus Cousins going to be that much better than what the Sacramento Kings have? Maybe. But if DeMarcus has not been able to stick on in so many different markets with so many different teams, and the fact that I think he couldn't return to Mike Malone's Denver Nuggets speaks volumes too. And I'm not blaming DeMarcus, by the way. I'm not saying DeMarcus did anything wrong. We have heard nothing to suggest that DeMarcus did anything wrong in Denver. I just think DeMarcus's time as a efficient, effective player that will help the Sacramento Kings win consistently, I think that time is over. And it sucks because as much as DeMarcus drove me crazy when he was here, his dominance was incredible to watch on a nightly basis, as many of you know. But that version of DeMarcus Cousins is gone. So if the Kings did it, that's fine. Like I would enjoy it from the media standpoint of things. But if that's their move, that you're saying that's going to be a difference for the Sacramento Kings in their second unit and making it securing a third or fourth seed and making a playoff run, I would challenge that. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I see a couple people asking about Matisse Thybulle. Bean says Metu and Holmes for Thybulle. Yeah, the Philadelphia 76ers laugh and hang up the phone immediately. Absolutely not. Matisse Thybulle is a really good player. I personally would absolutely trade Davion Mitchell for Matisse Thybulle. The Sixers don't do that. Matisse Thybulle plays excellent defense, maybe on par with Davion, and is a much better offensive player. Did you not see what he just did to the Sacramento Kings just a couple, was it last week when Philly came in here and beat the Kings? Matisse Thybulle was one of the leading scorers in that game. The Kings aren't getting Matisse Thybulle. They're not. If they did, I'd be stunned and I would absolutely celebrate it. The Kings aren't getting Matisse Thybulle. If the Kings go to the Sixers and ask for Matisse Thybulle, again, I'm telling you, the Sixers are asking for Keegan Murray, and that's where the conversation ends. Very confident in that. That F guy says, Matt Georgia, got mad respect for you. Next Kings home game, I'm going to find you and introduce myself. Please do. Thank you so much for the kind words. If you are ever going to a Kings game, I am at the top of section 105. That is the media area. Typically, before the game starts or during halftime is the best time, although during halftime, all the media members go downstairs to eat hot dogs and cookies and talk about how much of losers we are. But I'm at the top of section 105. Please come and say hi. I would love to see you in person, and thank you in person for supporting the Locked On Kings podcast. You are my people. I am one of you. I am a fan. I appreciate you guys so much. So if you ever come to a Kings game, please come by and say hi. That would be amazing. Matisse Thybulle scored 2 points on Saturday, Matt. What? Matisse Thybulle against the Sacramento Kings? Did I completely mix up the game that he had? I'm now looking this up. Now I'm concerned. Because if I got it messed up, then I will absolutely own. Oh my God, I did. I was thinking Tyrese Maxey. What in the world did I just do? Yeah, Matisse Thybulle. Sorry. Let's revisit that. I, for some reason, was thinking Tyrese Maxey. Matisse Thybulle. Maybe he's acquirable. Matisse Thybulle. Can I have Tyrese Maxey instead? Can I go with that? I'm sorry, guys. I completely mixed him up with Tyrese Maxey. Absolute apologies there. Yeah, Matisse Thybulle. Good defensive player. Doesn't score too much. God, I don't know why I was so stuck on Tyrese Maxey thinking that was Matisse Thybulle. What would I give for Matisse Thybulle? Maybe Holmes, and I don't know. I'd have to think about that a little bit myself. Or my bad. Really my bad. Clearly I don't watch 76ers basketball. So you know what? I shouldn't have any kind of vote on who makes an all-star game for the 76ers because clearly I don't watch 76ers basketball or pay enough attention. Yeah, Matisse Thybulle, another guy where I like defensively what he brings. Offense, there are question marks. And overall, I don't think he moves the needle. Does he improve your defense a little bit? Sure. As long as you're not moving someone who is already decent defensively. I see some people saying Thybulle is like another KZ Okpala. I think Thybulle is better than KZ Okpala, me personally. Some people are saying he's worse. I think Thybulle is better than KZ Okpala. But yeah, I wouldn't be too crazy about them. I would be kind of like a shrug my shoulders type move, which again is what I think Monte McNair is going to end up doing at this upcoming trade deadline, is just a kind of or, oh, okay, cool move. So can I have Tyrese Maxey though? That's the guy that I was thinking of. Boy, what a fail on my part. Any more questions here before we wrap up the podcast? Thank you again so much, everybody, for your support. Oh, Jolly Roger has a question. Let's see. Have you heard any rumors if Kings might cover Sasha Vezenkov or convert or bring Sasha Vezenkov over since we have his rights? I've not heard anything. I know Vezenkov has absolutely been killing it overseas. I mean, I think he could absolutely help this team in their second unit, but I have not heard anything. There's been zero discussion about him in any kind of media circles or inside the Kings organization that I've been privy to. So, no, I haven't heard anything. That would be great, but no, I have not heard anything. Short answer to that. I'm ignoring all questions from King's Pulse and Brennan Nunez, except for he asked, what is the best movie trilogy of all time? The answer is only Lord of the Rings, as you can see behind me. And that is that. I'm going to wrap up the podcast now, and then I will get to more of these questions in kind of our post show hangout. So thank you so much, everybody, for supporting this first ever live edition of the Locked On Kings podcast. I'm definitely going to do more of these in the future. If you want to respond, if you're listening after the live episode, first and foremost, I'd love to have you join me live on the next live edition of Locked On Kings. So keep an eye and an ear out for that. But if you have any thoughts on NBA All-Star voting and Domantas Sabonis not making it, if you have any thoughts on this upcoming 7-game road trip, what you think Monte McNair should do at the trade deadline, please send those to me. You can reach me on Twitter at @MattGeorgeSack, email me mattgeorgesports@gmail.com, or leave your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. But as for now, we are done with the podcast. I'm looking forward to kind of this post-show Locked On Kings hangout. Again, audio and video watchers after the fact, come and join us during a live episode, and you can be a part of this. This was a ton of fun, and I definitely look forward to doing it again. Until next time, my name is Matt George. You have been listening to Locked On Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Okay, look at that. That's how we do. All right. Podcast is not, well, the podcast is over, but now we can hang out and chat for a little bit, and I can answer more questions as much as I possibly can. Again, thank you everybody for being a part of this show. We're not wrapping up yet. I see people saying take care. You don't have to leave. I'm not ending. Nope. Stop it. Everybody stop it. I'm not leaving yet. See, everybody's like thinking I'm out of here. But I appreciate everybody's support. This has been a lot of fun. And now I can answer more questions and continue the conversation. I have a little bit longer that I can hang out. My son isn't home. My son's at daycare. My wife's at work, so I can kind of chill a little bit. Clay Ruddy. Who are some rotational targets you'd be interested in? I like DeLon Wright, Plumlee, maybe even Derrick Rose or Andre Drummond. I'm glad you brought up DeLon Wright. I loved DeLon Wright when he was here, and I think DeLon Wright would help this team a ton. Now, I'm not saying I want Davion Mitchell to lose his job, but DeLon Wright, I have more confidence in offensively. He's not as good as Davion Mitchell defensively, but he's not a steep drop-off either. But if DeLon Wright comes to Sacramento, I don't know what happens to Davion. I don't, because Malik Monk needs to still play. Even if Malik's in a funk right now, Malik is your primary ball handler pretty much with that second unit. He's your two. What happens to Davion Mitchell if DeLon Wright comes in? I don't know the answer to that question, unless the Kings go really small with their second unit. And I don't know who gets knocked out at that point, because Mike Brown's been pretty consistent with his rotation. You're not taking Trey Lyles out of the rotation. You're not taking your backup big, which is as pretty much right now Chimezie Metu, kind of sometimes Rashawn Holmes. So I don't think the Kings would do it, because I think the Kings will stick with Davion, and I don't think it's a bad thing to stick with Davion. I would love for Davion to get his offense going, and I've talked about this in the past. I don't think the Kings offense is optimal for Davion necessarily, although he has to hit open threes better than he does. But to me, overall, yeah, I think I would still pick. I like DeLon Wright a lot. I think I would still take Davion Mitchell over DeLon Wright just overall. That's just my opinion. I see Gilbert saying Davion is our Marcus Smart. I hope he gets there. He's not there yet. He's not even close. Davion is not nearly as effective to the Sacramento Kings as Marcus Smart is to the Boston Celtics. If he gets there, that's exactly the role that I need from Davion. He doesn't have to be a major scorer, but he has to be an offensive threat who defensively locks everybody down and can be that kind of leader. He's not there yet. I think he can get there in time, but I'm not there yet. Juan, I already talked about this a little bit. The possible return of Cousins. I don't like it. I like it from a media standpoint. I don't think it makes a difference. And I also see people talking about Nerlens Noel. If you're looking for a rim protector, Nerlens Noel is a cheap option. That is someone that I think that is the range and the tier kind of Monte McNair move that I think will happen at this trade deadline. Am I going to All-Star Weekend in Utah? I am not. I had the opportunity to do so, but we decided not to, because there's a very good chance if the San Francisco 49ers win on Sunday, I will be going, if the Niners win on Sunday, no matter what, I'm going to Super Bowl to cover it for ABC 10. And then not if, but once the Kings make the playoffs, I'll be traveling to cover the playoffs. So wherever the Kings go in the playoffs, we will go to, which is going to be a lot of fun for the Locked On Kings podcast. I'm looking forward to that. Tickets are so expensive. I assume you're talking about football tickets or all-star tickets, because either way, yes, they absolutely are. That's what's nice about, I mean, I know the Kings have kind of raised the prices, and of course prices are ridiculous in the Golden One Center for when the Lakers or Warriors come to town, but Kings games are really affordable. Really affordable. Like, you can sit lower bowl at a Kings game for a little over like $100, like 120, $130 if you pick the right game. So like a week that, like, I got a pair of tickets for a couple Locked On Kings listeners on for the Raptors game, and it was only like $130, $140 for lower bowl, which was pretty cool. Any more questions, guys, before we wrap up? Let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Do I ever watch Champions League or European football? Yes, I do. I've never been to an actual football game. No. And football is the correct way to say soccer, Americans. I've always wanted to go to like a European soccer tour. My club never makes it to the Champions League, and my club is Norwich City FC. And I can tell you another time, if you care, why I'm a fan of Norwich. But I do watch Champions League. I pay attention to professional soccer a lot. Fell in love with professional soccer in college and have been super into it since. And then, of course, I do a lot of work covering the Sacramento Republic FC here in town, which, if you've not been to a Republic FC match, that's a lot of fun. Matt, can we trade for Seth Curry, move Monk to the point off the bench, and make Davion a specialist? That's an interesting question, Jim. I'm a big Seth Curry fan. I think Seth Curry would really help. But here's the problem. Like, here's what we're talking about. Seth Curry helps the Kings offense and helps the Kings spacing, which is great. The Kings don't need more offense. Like, the Kings need defense. That's what they need. Like, offensively, this is already the best team in the league, if not the second best team in the league. So Monty is not going to really trade anything of value to bring in an offensive-minded player. He's not, unless it's like a one-for-one deal where you're trading a good offensive player for a great offensive player, which I don't know why any team would do. So, like, I like Seth Curry a lot. If Seth Curry was a King, I'd be a very happy camper. But again, it's not a move that really makes that much sense. Loki asking, Matt, how do you feel about Brady to the Raiders? I personally hate the idea. I do too. I'm a diehard Raiders fan, or I mean, I should say I was a diehard Raiders fan. Now I'm a reluctant Raiders fan. And I've never liked Tom Brady, although I respect the hell out of Tom Brady. But I feel like that's almost a lock that's going to happen. And I'd still root for the Raiders and I'd still watch, but Clay Ruddy asking about Sadiq Bey. Who would you be willing to give for Sadiq Bey? I'm not giving Harrison. I'm not giving Keegan. So it's not happening. Like, the Pistons aren't trading Sadiq Bey for Terrence Davis and Rashawn Holmes. And I don't even know if financially that works. They're not doing it. They can get better elsewhere. So the Kings are not a good trade partner for a lot of teams because there are a lot of players that I think they're not willing to move on from, and that's good. That's how they should be at this point in time. Davion in a first for Sadiq Bey? No, I don't no, I don't do that. I don't think I do that. I might have to think about that a little bit, but my initial reaction to that is no. I don't think I do that. Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. Tin Trung Lamb. I speak for the people when I utter, we love you, Matthew George. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you to all of you. I mean, I was genuinely, truthfully, I was truly expecting like 30 to 40 people, and that would have been amazing to me. So all the support is just incredible. What is this, the one I saw? Yeah. Should you give up Keegan and HB for a real certified superstar? That depends on the superstar, and that depends on the superstar's contract situation. So give me a superstar or a couple superstars, and I tell you yes or no. There are there's nobody on this Kings team that is untouchable. Let me make that very clear. The closest is Domantas Sabonis. But if the Kings could use pieces on this roster to get an absolute bona fide Hall of Fame superstar, yes, they do it as long as it makes sense contractually. But It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Happy you're doing this. Any chance of Lauri Markkanen? No. Well, I shouldn't say yes. I mean, I shouldn't say no, because if I'm the Utah Jazz, the first thing I'm asking for is Keegan Murray. And then I'm asking for, like, here's the thing. Rudy Gobert and the Utah Jazz Minnesota Timberwolves trade screwed up the trade market completely. Just completely screwed it. Because now any team that's trading a promising player or a player with high upside is going to demand the freaking world. And if I'm the Sacramento Kings, I'm not giving up Keegan Murray, another good player, and 3 first-round picks for Lauri Markkanen. I'm not. I personally think, and the Kings believe this too, that Keegan Murray is going to be just as good, if not better, than Lauri Markkanen eventually. I firmly believe that. And of course, you know how high I am on the Keegan Murray train, and I'm a big Keegan Murray guy. So I'm not. Like Lauri Markkanen would be awesome on the Kings. Again, another offensive stud who's having a phenomenal year in Utah. He would not have that much opportunity here in Sacramento with the guys that he would play with. He's a picture perfect fit in a lot of ways offensively, but again, so is Keegan Murray, and the Kings don't necessarily need that. So I would say the Kings are just not a good trade partner in a Lauri Markkanen trade. They're not. You got that right, Samwise. Keegan does look to be a future star, and he's only going to get better. Maybe star might be a little aggressive, but he is going to be a starter for a long time in the NBA, and a damn good one at that. The best thing about Keegan Murray is that he can do different things on different nights. That is what the Kings team needs to win, or any team needs to win. He can grab rebounds. He can hit big shots. He's starting to show his ability to attack the basket aggressively, and he's starting to learn how to play make and focus on playmaking a little bit more too. So Keegan Murray absolutely could be huge. Yes, Brendan, I did see them chanting Keegan's better at Chris, which it's not going to happen now because Chris is playing so well that he's moving up I think he's moved into the lottery. He's moved into the top 10, but it would have been so much fun to have both the Murray brothers here, the Murray twins. Although I'm sure Keegan and Chris would have hated it because they're tired of each other. But the big question I have, and I actually talked to Scott Moak about this. Scott Moak is the Kings PA announcer, and he's the PA announcer, and he is the host, or he does the intro for the Locked On Kings podcast that you hear every day. I asked him, because he does the Keegan Murray callback. Keegan! And the fans go, Murray! If Chris were here, Chris wouldn't get that. I was talking to, because his name doesn't work. Like Keegan has 2 syllables, Chris does not. So I was asking Scott Moak about that at the dinner table before a Kings game the other night, and Scott was like, nope, Chris would not get it, which I would feel bad for Chris in that situation. But yeah, you're damn right. Keegan is legit. Chris is legit too. And whoever gets Chris, I think is going to have an awesome player next year. I like this draft a lot. Of course, everybody's talking about the top of the draft in Wembanyama, and I'm very excited to see where he goes and what he does for that team immediately next year. If he really is the generational talent like LeBron that everybody thinks he is. But I'll put it this way. I have no problem with the Kings not being in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. Zero issue. I would take this season the Kings are having. If I told you, or rather, if you told me that I could either have guaranteed Victor Wembanyama or the season that the Kings are having, I'm sorry, I'm going to change that a little bit because that's a little extreme. If you told me that the Kings could have guaranteed top 3 odds, so best odds at the number 1 overall pick, or the season that they're having, I take this season every single time. Guaranteed top 3 pick or top 3 odds versus this season. Yeah, I take this season. It's easy. Beans, hope we get Bronny in 2024. I don't think Bronny's going to be that good. I think Bronny's going to be a fine player. If you hope to get Bronny just so LeBron James will come to the Kings to play with Bronny for a couple of years, then I get it. But I'm not big on the Bronny hype train. I am big though on the Andrej Stojakovic hype train. Peja Stojakovic's son, although they look like they can be brothers because Peja is he looks young. But Andrej Stojakovic plays at Jesuit High School in Sacramento, and he was just named to the McDonald's All-American team, which is freaking rad. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to the Stojakovic family. I do, DJ, we both need to go see Jesuit play. I haven't been to a Jesuit game yet. I've been to Folsom basketball games, Oak Ridge basketball game. I've been to a Del Oro basketball game. I've not been to a Jesuit basketball game yet. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else before I wrap up? Ralph says I'm reaching a little bit with Markkanen. Yeah, I feel that. At the same time, Markkanen is what, 4, 5, 6 years into his career, and he's just now exploding. And the Cavaliers just gave him up in order to get like a big reason too for Markkanen's explosion is in Utah. He is the guy. He never was in Cleveland. He's a solid player. I wanted Lauri Markkanen on the Kings for a long time. When he was with Bulls, I did so many Locked On Kings podcasts with the Bulls trying to find out a way to talk them into a hypothetical trade where the Kings would get Markkanen. I did that many times, and a long time Locked On Kings listeners would know that. But I don't think what Markkanen's doing now, he would not do for Sacramento. And I think Keegan Murray is capable of doing what Lauri Markkanen did. If Keegan Murray were in Utah 3-4 years from now, I think he's capable of doing what Markkanen is doing right now. I think he is. And we saw kind of glimpses of that in Summer League. I know for a fact that people in the organization think Keegan is going to be better than Lauri. Yeah, I do too. That's a pretty common belief amongst the Sacramento Kings. They're very, very happy with what they have in Keegan, and they're confident that Keegan is going to be the starting 3 or starting 4, a starting wing in Sacramento for hopefully his entire career. There are a lot of people that believe that's going to be the case, and I think Keegan is more than okay with that idea. I don't know, DJ. I would love to keep asking a couple questions. I'm going to try and hang out for a little bit longer. I don't know the next time I'm going to do a live episode. I would love to do these more. It all depends kind of on my work schedule and my at-home schedule and the Kings schedule. So it's not going to be it won't be consistent yet. I will definitely do this again, and I will give more than fair warning about the next time I do a live Locked On Kings episode. It's going to be a while, but can we get these once a week? I would love to get to that point. And hey, maybe during the summertime. I think during the off season we'll do these a lot more. During the regular season, it's tough just with ABC 10 duties, and I have a 1-year-old at home, and my schedule is already wild. So I'll try and do these as much as possible, but I would love to do more of these because this was a ton of fun, and you guys blew me out of the water with your support. So thank you so much. Anybody else before we wrap up? How's the wife and kid? Thanks for asking. They are very good. My son is amazing. He's great. He's talking and running everywhere. And he's dunking on his play school hoop already at 1-year-old. He's crazy. He's super tall, which I love. Favorite Lord of the Rings movie? Great question, Rain. All right. How much time we got? No. Everybody loves Return of the King. Return of the King is it's the GOAT of the 3, and in terms of Academy Awards, one of the best of all time. But I will say this: the Helm's Deep battle in Two Towers is freaking badass, and Two Towers definitely has some slow points that are rough to get through, or that are kind of dull to get through, but it's all worth it for the Helm's Deep battle. So Two Towers will always be my favorite out of them, and the Fellowships. I mean, they're all brilliant. They're all amazing. Has Sabonis been too passive down low in one-on-one matchups lately? Passive in what way? Passive. Yeah. In terms of not looking to score, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think Domantas Sabonis needs to score more. I have 2 different people saying the Hobbit trilogy is better than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I love you. Get the fuck out. No way. No way. Not even close. The Hobbits are fun, and I enjoy them. The Hobbits are not good movies. They're not. They're fun, and I love them. And I love Peter Jackson, and everything Peter Jackson does is good to me. They are not good movies. Loki, you watching the director's cut over the extended editions, I still accept that as long as you're actually watching them. How's the golf game? Kimmy, you don't want to know. It's terrible, and I haven't actually picked up my golf clubs in months. So I'm scared too. I think I'll break something. Paul, The Hobbit isn't absolute trash. It's just not good, but it's fun. And they put Orlando Bloom's Legolas back in, so I'm freaking in. animated Lord of the Rings movie over the trilogy. All right. I don't know. How do I block? How do I block this guy? No, I don't want to give him more. Where's block? Just kidding. I'm not actually going to block you. You can, as long as you're watching some kind of Lord of the Rings content, that's a win in my book. Only thing about the Hobbit trilogy that was good is the extended version. Yes, that's true. There are some amazing scenes in the Battle of Five Armies extended version that are a ton of fun. All right. An hour and 15 minutes of me rambling and babbling. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are incredible. I will do my best. Should Fox be an all-star? Absolutely, he should. Thank you guys so much. I did like the new Amazon show. I want to wrap up, damn it, but I want to answer all these questions and keep talking to you guys. But I need to be productive and do things around my new house. So thank you guys so much for your support. I look forward to doing these again. Keep an eye out on my Twitter at MattGeorgeSack, or I'll do posts on YouTube, and I'll share on the other recordings of the podcast when I am able to do another live episodes. I will try and do it as soon as I possibly can. Go and check out other great content. Check out the King's Pulse podcast. Check out the Return of the Roar podcast. Check out D'Lo and KC on ESPN 1320. I think Deuce and Mo are on right now on KHTK. So you have so much great content out there. Check them all out. I really appreciate you for your support, and can't wait to have you join me on the next episode. And next time I'm live. You guys are amazing. Love you guys so much. And I can't wait to see you at game. I mean, it'll be a while until we see each other at games, but we'll keep each other company during this long road trip. And I think it's going to be a good road trip for the Kings. So thank you guys so much. Have a great one, and I'll see you soon.